Hi guys, this was, I believe, a watershed moment for the BBC, where they moved on from the government processing asylum claims to talk about, and I quote, detention estates. What is especially worrying is that Henry Hill was throwing his support behind it. Hill is the editor of Conservative Home, which is extremely influential in Tory circles and is seen by some as guiding the Prime Minister's hand. The host and two of the guests, it seems, were convinced that detention estates are the way to go to deal with the immigration crisis. But thankfully, the voice of reason in the room was Steve Smith from Care for Calais. Have a listen to this.
That you two are in agreement about, as it were, a detention estate. Are you both in agreement about that?
Yes, yeah, I think you need the facilities in order to make sure that your housing...
So let me ask you that, Steve Smith. Is the best way of dealing with this to build reasonable-sized detention estates with facilities, with schools, with a doctor's surgery, with a community hub? Is that what has to be done, as if this was almost like wartime and has to be done incredibly quickly?
I don't see how that helps anyone, quite frankly. If 75% of those coming through are deemed to be proper refugees and are granted asylum status, what you want them to do is integrate into the community as quickly as possible to start working.
Yes, but the point is that this process, as we see, is incredibly slow. So
it's slow because the UK government has decided to make it slow. In Germany, the asylum claim is turned around in 6 months. In Britain, it's between 1 and 3 years. So it's not slow because it's naturally slow. It's slow because the Tory government is not investing the resources necessary.
So would it be better to have that than what's happening just now?
How quick do you think it would be to build that sort of estate? In any case, it becomes virtually a concentration camp. I think it's an absolutely appalling idea. The thing to do is speed up the asylum process so there's not a backlog of 170,000 people in the system.
Well, what about that? It becomes a concentration camp because, in fact, would people be allowed to come and go as they please? Probably not.
Well, I think that's a bit strong language, if you ask me, because as you rightly said, we built the Nightingale hospitals pretty quick in time to make sure that we had the medical facilities that we need for people in this country to tackle COVID.
Wait a minute. The Nightingale hospitals were built for one purpose. You're talking about a detention estate, which would provide schools, doctors, facilities for people and living conditions for asylum seekers. And if we turn our minds back to the Nightingale hospitals, one of the reasons they weren't being used is because there wasn't the staff available. So if you're going to build these detention estates, you're going to have to find staff to run them as well. And of course, they're going to take ages to build.
But the government should bite the bullet. It's absurd to call it a concentration camp or whatever. We have to house these people somewhere. And a solution where we clear the backlog by rubber stamping applications is not acceptable to the British public. So it might as well be secure.
No. It's not about just rubber stamping asylum claims. You actually can process them in 6 months if you wanted to. But the Tories don't want to do this.
Hygienic, properly built with proper facilities. Otherwise, you're scattering them all around the country. The consensus is that we need to have the asylum system in place and we need to check people. That means they need somewhere to live. We should build it.
Thank you all very much.
Sorry, when I was responding, I cut him off a little bit early, but he said here as well that, well, we can have a proper facility that is hygienic, that is clean. Yes, but who's going to provide that? You're going to the Tories are going to hand this over to one of their donors. And these donors are going to run it for a profit, and they're going to cut corners, and they're going to provide low quality food, as they're doing so far when it comes to the hotels, or what's going to happen with the BB Stockholm. It's about maximizing profit and minimizing cost. The goal of these companies is not to provide suitable accommodation for asylum seekers. It's about making a profit. And we've seen it before. The asylum seekers have been complaining about the quality of the food. It's been rancid. It's not fit for eating in many cases. Why? Because the companies are maximizing profit. And many of these companies have long-term contracts. So even if they do mess up or don't provide something suitable, you're going to have to wait a number of years before you can renew the contract. This is a terrible idea. Instead of actually processing the claims, moving people into refugee status, allowing them to work, allowing them to access normal accommodation, the Tories are now coming up with basically concentration camps. This is insane. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.